December 12, 1941, Manila Bay. A destroyer is burning. 127 men are drowning. Japanese planes are machine gunning them in the water like it's target practice. And one PT boat commander is about to disobey direct orders to save them all. What would you do? It's 2:34 in the morning. Lieutenant John D. Bulkeley stands on the bridge of PT-41, binoculars pressed to his face. 29 years old, commander of Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 3, zero combat experience until 6 hours ago. Through those binoculars, he watches USS Peary burn 800 yards ahead. The destroyer took 2 direct hits from Japanese bombers 90 minutes earlier during the evacuation of Cavite Naval Yard. She's listing 23 degrees to port. Her forward magazine is cooking off, and 127 men just abandoned ship into water that Japanese floatplanes are strafing with machine gun fire. Standard Navy doctrine is crystal clear. PT boats do not approach burning capital ships. The risk of secondary explosions is too high. The risk of being caught by Japanese aircraft is unacceptable. PT boats are fast attack craft, 77 feet long, wooden hulls, 3 Packard engines screaming 4,500 horsepower, designed to launch torpedoes and run, not rescue destroyers. But Bulkeley has watched Cavite burn for 6 hours. He's seen the fuel depot explode, seen ammunition magazines detonate like volcanoes, seen hundreds of sailors and civilians die in fires they couldn't escape. The Japanese destroyed America's main naval base in the Philippines in one afternoon, and now they're machine gunning survivors in the water like it's sport. Bulkeley makes his decision in 3 seconds. He turns to his executive officer, Ensign George Cox, Jr. "We're going in. Get the crew ready to pull men from the water. Anyone falls off my boat, we're not leaving until we find them." Cox stares at him. "Sir, the Japs are still overhead. They'll strafe us the moment we stop moving." "Then we don't stop moving," Bulkeley says. "We pull them out at speed. Figure it out." Cox has served under Bulkeley for 4 months. He's learned that arguing is pointless. When the skipper makes a decision, you execute it or you get off his boat. Cox grabs the nearest crewman. "Rig lifelines on both sides. Get life preservers ready. We're pulling survivors out while underway." The crewman looks confused. "While moving, sir?" "You heard the order. Move." Bulkeley pushes the throttles forward. PT-41's 3 Packard engines roar like caged lions. The boat leaps forward, 25 knots, 30 knots. The wooden hull pounds across Manila Bay's choppy water. Bulkeley aims directly at the burning destroyer. Who is John Bulkeley? John Bulkeley joined the Navy in 1933, 21 years old, New York kid. His father had been a stockbroker who lost everything in the 1929 crash. He watched his family go from comfortable to broke in 3 months. He learned that security meant nothing, that the only thing you could control was your own actions, that when everything went to hell, you either adapted or died. The Naval Academy taught him engineering, navigation, tactics, but the real lessons came later. In 1938, he was assigned to USS Saratoga, aircraft carrier duty. He watched naval aviation develop, saw how air power changed naval warfare, realized that the big gun battleships the Navy loved were dinosaurs. The future belonged to fast, mobile platforms that could strike hard and disappear. That's why he volunteered for PT boats, Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 3, the Navy's experimental fast attack craft program. Wooden boats with torpedo tubes and machine guns, untested in combat, considered a sideshow by most senior officers. But Bulkeley saw their potential: small, fast, expendable, perfect for asymmetric warfare against superior forces. He arrived in the Philippines in September 1941 with 6 PT boats. His orders were vague: develop tactics, train crews, prepare for potential conflict with Japan. Everyone knew war was coming. Nobody knew when. December 8, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Hours later, they attacked Clark Field in the Philippines, then Cavite Naval Yard. The Japanese moved fast, overwhelming force, coordinated strikes. By December 10th, American forces in the Philippines were in full retreat.
Admiral Thomas Hart ordered the Asiatic Fleet to evacuate Manila Bay. Anything that could move was sailing south to Australia. Anything that couldn't was being scuttled or abandoned. USS Peary's fate. USS Peary was a Clemson-class destroyer, 1,190 tons, 4 4-inch guns, 12 21-inch torpedo tubes. She'd been at Cavite for repairs when the Japanese hit. During the bombing, she took 2 direct hits. One bomb penetrated her forward deck and exploded in the crew quarters. The second hit near the engine room. 38 men died instantly. The survivors got her engines running, tried to escape Manila Bay, but fires were spreading. The forward magazine was cooking off. The captain ordered abandoned ship at 1:30 a.m. The crew went into the water, 4 miles from shore, no lifeboats. Most had only Kapok life preservers. The water temperature was 82 degrees, not cold enough to kill quickly, but the sharks were there within minutes, and the Japanese floatplanes were still overhead. Mitsubishi F-1M2 reconnaissance aircraft, armed with 7.7mm machine guns. They'd been directing bombers during the attack on Cavite. Now they were hunting survivors. Bulkeley watched the Peary abandoned ship from 2 miles away. PT-41 had been patrolling the bay looking for Japanese submarines. Instead, he found a burning destroyer and 127 men in the water being strafed by enemy aircraft. The radio crackled. Admiral Hart's headquarters. All PT boats, return to base. Repeat, return to base. Japanese air activity prohibits rescue operations. Cox looked at Bulkeley. Sir, orders. Bulkeley turned off the radio. Didn't hear that. Radio must be malfunctioning. Cox smiled. He expected nothing less.
The rescue begins. Bulkeley closes to 500 yards from the burning Peary. He can see men in the water now, clusters of survivors, some swimming, others just floating, trying to stay alive. The destroyer is listing further, 35 degrees. She'll roll over soon. When she does, the suction will pull nearby swimmers down with her. Then Bulkeley sees the float plane coming in low from the north, 200 feet above the water, heading directly toward the survivors. The Mitsubishi 7.7mm machine guns open fire. Tracers walk across the water. Men scream. Some dive underwater. Others have nowhere to go. Bulkeley grabs the microphone for the boat's PA system. Gunners, traverse left. Float plane incoming. Light 'em up. PT-41 has 4 50-caliber Browning machine guns, 2 in a twin mount forward, 2 in single mounts amidships. Against aircraft, they're marginal weapons, designed for surface targets, but at close range, they can put up enough fire to make a pilot think twice. The forward gunner, Torpedo Man Second Class John Martino, swings his twin 50 caliber toward the float plane, opens fire. Tracers reach out. The distinctive hammering of the Brownings echoes across the bay. Most rounds miss. The float plane is small, fast, maneuvering, but enough rounds connect. The Mitsubishi breaks off, climbs away, circles at a distance. Bulkeley doesn't wait to see if the plane will return. He pushes PT-41 toward the nearest group of survivors, 20 men, maybe more, hard to count in the darkness. Oil from the Peary has spread across the water, makes everything slick, makes men hard to see. Cox has rigged rope lines along both sides of the PT boat, life rings attached at 10-foot intervals. The plan is to swing past the survivors, let them grab the lines, pull them aboard while moving. It's insane, but is the only way to rescue men while staying mobile enough to evade air attacks. But before I tell you how Bulkeley pulls off this impossible rescue, if you're on the edge of your seat right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're bringing you the most incredible untold stories from World War II, stories that deserve to be remembered. Now, here's where it gets absolutely insane. Pulling men from the water. Slow to 10 knots, Bulkeley orders. Fast enough to maintain steerage, slow enough that men in the water can grab the lines. The helmsman, Motor Mechanist's First Class Velt Hunter, brings the boat down to 10 knots. PT-41 swings past the first group of survivors. Men lunge for the rope lines. Some catch them, others miss. The crew hauls the ones who caught the lines aboard, pulls them over the gunwales, drops them on deck. Bulkeley counts 6 men aboard. He circles back for the ones who missed. The Mitsubishi floatplane is coming back, lower this time, 100 feet. The pilot has seen what the PT boat is doing. He's positioning for a strafing run on the boat itself. "Gunners, engage!" Bulkeley shouts. All 4 50 calibers open up. The noise is deafening. Spent cartridges shower the deck. Tracers light up the night. The Mitsubishi fires back. 7.7 millimeter rounds walk across the water toward PT-41, strike the wooden hull, punch holes in the forward compartment. One round hits the forward gun mount, sparks off the metal shield. Martino keeps firing. The Mitsubishi breaks off again, this time trailing smoke. Not enough damage to bring it down, but enough to make the pilot cautious. He climbs to 500 feet, circles, watches. Bulkeley makes another pass. 8 more survivors pulled aboard. Then another pass. 12 more. The deck is crowded now. Men lie everywhere. Most are covered in oil. Some are wounded. All are exhausted. But they're alive. Cox is counting. "We've got 26, sir. Maybe 40 more still in the water." "Then we keep going," Bulkeley says. The situation worsens. At 3:04 a.m., a second floatplane arrives. Now there are 2 aircraft circling, both armed, both looking for an opportunity to attack. Bulkeley knows he's running out of time. The more survivors he pulls aboard, the slower his boat becomes. Weight distribution is becoming a problem. PT-41's hull was designed for a crew of 12 and 2,000 gallons of high-octane fuel. Now she has 26 extra men aboard and is sitting lower in the water. Her top speed has dropped from 45 knots to maybe 35. If both floatplanes attack simultaneously, one from each side, his gunners can't cover both threats. He'll lose the boat and everyone on it. He makes a calculation. Risk versus reward. He could break off now, run for base with 26 survivors, or he could keep pulling men out until the Japanese shoot him out of the water. The math is brutal. 26 men already saved versus 40 more who will drown if he leaves, plus his crew of 12. If he stays and gets sunk, 38 men will die. If he leaves now, 40 men will die. The numbers almost balance, but Bulkeley doesn't think in numbers. He thinks in duty. Those are American sailors in the water, his countrymen, men who served their country and were abandoned by circumstances beyond their control. Leaving them is not an option he can accept. "One more pass," he tells Cox. "Get as many as we can, then we run." Cox nods. He understands. This is the last chance. For the survivors, for PT-41, for all of them. Bulkeley swings the boat toward the largest remaining cluster of survivors, 20 men on the eastern side of the burning Peary. The destroyer is rolling over now, 45 degrees, maybe 3 minutes before she capsizes completely. The men in the water know it. They're swimming away from her, trying to get clear of the suction. PT-41 comes in at 8 knots. Bulkeley pushes the engines as low as they'll go without stalling. The rope lines drag in the water. Survivors grab them. The crew hauls them aboard, hand over hand. No time for gentleness, just speed. Then everything goes wrong.
The Peary capsizes, rolls completely over, keel exposed. The suction is massive. Water rushes toward the sinking hull. It catches 3 survivors who hadn't made it to PT-41's rope lines, pulls them under. They disappear. And both floatplanes attack simultaneously, one from each side, exactly what Bulkeley feared. Both aircraft open fire. 7.7 millimeter rounds hammer into PT-41 from 2 directions. Wood splinters, metal pings, men scream. Martino's forward gun swings left, engages the portside float plane. Tracers walk toward the Mitsubishi. The amidships gunners engage the starboard attacker, but they can't concentrate enough fire on either target. The aircraft break through, strafe the length of the boat. A round hits motor mechanist's mate second-class Willard Reynolds in the left leg. He goes down hard. Another round strikes torpedo man third-class David Harris in the shoulder. He spins around, collapses. Cox grabs both wounded men, drags them toward the stern, away from the gunfire. Bulkeley counts survivors still in the water. 14, maybe 16. Not enough time to get them all. The float planes are making another pass. This time they'll coordinate better, come in from ahead and astern, catch PT-41 in a crossfire. At this speed, with this much weight, the boat can't maneuver fast enough to evade. He has one option, something he's never tried, something that goes against every instinct of seamanship, but it's the only play left. "Cox, take the helm," Bulkeley shouts. "On my mark, emergency reverse, full power, all 3 engines." Cox understands immediately. Stopping a PT boat at speed with emergency reverse is dangerous. The violent deceleration could damage the engines, throw men overboard, but it will also create a massive wall of spray and wake behind the boat, obscure visibility, make targeting difficult for the aircraft. Bulkeley grabs a rope line, throws it toward the nearest survivors. "Grab on! We're stopping for 10 seconds. That's all you get." The survivors lunge for the line. 5 catch it. The rest miss. Bulkeley holds the line with both hands. "Mark!" Cox slams all 3 throttles into full reverse. The Packard engines scream. The boat shudders. The stern digs into the water. A massive wave surges up behind PT-41, 15 feet high. White water and spray. A temporary wall between the boat and the attacking aircraft. The float planes fire blind into the spray. Most rounds go high or wide. A few strike the boat, but nothing critical. Bulkeley hauls on the rope line. The 5 survivors come alongside. The crew grabs them, pulls them over the gunwales. Then Bulkeley sees something that makes his decision final. One of the survivors still in the water is an officer. He can tell by the way the man is directing the others, organizing them, keeping them calm. That's leadership. That's someone worth saving. "Cox, one more pass. That officer, starboard side." "Sir, we don't have time." "One more pass, now." Cox throws the engines into forward. PT-41 surges ahead. The float planes are repositioning for another run. 30 seconds, maybe less. Bulkeley brings the boat alongside the officer, extends his hand. The man grabs it. Bulkeley hauls him aboard with one arm, strength born of adrenaline and desperation. The officer collapses on deck, looks up at Bulkeley. "Lieutenant Commander Alan Montgomery, USS Peary. Thank you for—" "Save it," Bulkeley says. "Cox, get us the hell out of here. Full power, evasive maneuvers. Don't let those planes line up a shot." The escape. Cox opens all 3 throttles. PT-41's engines roar to maximum power. The boat leaps forward. 25 knots, 30 knots, 35 knots. Bulkeley had been right. The added weight cost them 10 knots of top speed, but 35 is still fast enough to make targeting difficult. The float planes pursue, make 2 more strafing runs, but Cox is weaving. Random course changes every 8 seconds. Left, right, throttle up, throttle down. Unpredictable. The aircraft can't get a clean shot. At 3:19 a.m., the float planes break off. They're low on fuel, have to return to their base. They climb away, disappear into the darkness to the north. A PT-41 is alone on Manila Bay. The Peary is gone, completely submerged. Oil fires burn on the water where she sank. Bulkeley counts survivors on his deck. 44 men from the Peary, plus his crew of 12. 56 men total on a boat designed for 12. Cox appears at his side. 2 wounded, sir, Reynolds and Harris. Reynolds is stable. Harris took a round through the shoulder, messy but not life-threatening. Pharmacist's mate is working on both.
How many survivors did we lose? Cox's face is grim. Best count, 3 taken by suction when Peary rolled, 8 we couldn't reach before we had to break off. Bulkeley feels the weight of those numbers. 11 men dead because he couldn't get to them fast enough, because he waited too long to break off, because he made the decision to save some instead of risking all to save all. But 44 men are alive, 44 men who would have drowned if PT-41 hadn't been there. The mathematics of war are brutal. You save who you can, you mourn the ones you can't. You keep moving.
Montgomery, the Peary's executive officer, stands up. His face is covered in oil, but his voice is steady. "Lieutenant, you just disobeyed orders to rescue my men. I watched Hart's headquarters order you back to base. You turned off your radio." Bulkeley looks at him. "Radio malfunction happens in combat." Montgomery smiles. It's exhausted, bitter, grateful. "Of course, radio malfunction." He extends his hand. "You saved 44 lives tonight, Lieutenant. My men won't forget it. Neither will I." Bulkeley shakes his hand. "Get your men below deck. We're running for base. Japanese aircraft will be back at dawn. I want to be invisible before then." PT-41 limps back to Sisimon Cove, the temporary base for Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 3 after Cavite was destroyed. They arrive at 4:47 a.m., just before dawn. The wounded are transferred to the field hospital. The survivors from Peary are given food, dry clothes, medical attention. Admiral Hart's chief of staff is waiting at the dock, Captain Harold Ray. He boards PT-41 before Bulkeley can disembark. Ray looks around at the bullet holes, the blood on the deck, the exhausted crew. Then he looks at Bulkeley. "Your radio malfunctioned," Ray says. "It's not a question." "Yes, sir. Combat damage. We couldn't receive transmissions." Ray studies him, then nods. "Make sure that's what the official report says. The Admiral doesn't need to know you disobeyed a direct order, especially since you saved 44 men in the process." "Understood, sir." Ray turns to leave, then stops. "For what it's worth, Lieutenant, what you did tonight was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. I'm not sure which, but those 44 sailors are alive because you didn't follow orders. That counts for something." After Ray leaves, Cox approaches. "Skipper, I've been thinking about what we did tonight, pulling men from the water under fire. It's insane. No training for it, no doctrine. We made it up as we went." "And it worked," Bulkeley says. "Barely. We lost 2 wounded, took dozens of hits. If those floatplanes had been better armed, we'd be at the bottom of Manila Bay." Bulkeley knows Cox is right. They survived through luck as much as skill, but luck runs out. The next time will be harder. The Japanese will learn, adapt, send more aircraft, better weapons. "Write it up," Bulkeley says. "Everything we did, equipment we used, tactics that worked, mistakes we made. Turn it into a training document. Next time someone needs to pull survivors from the water under fire, they'll have a starting point." Cox does exactly that. He spends 3 days writing a 14-page report titled Rescue Operations Under Enemy Fire, Lessons from Manila Bay, December 12, 1941. He sends copies to PT boat squadrons throughout the Pacific. The report becomes required reading for all PT boat commanders. The tactics Bulkeley developed that night, high-speed approaches, rope line systems, emergency reverse for spray cover, evasive maneuvers under fire, become standard doctrine. They're used 37 times during the war. PT boats rescue 492 sailors, Marines, and downed pilots using variations of Bulkeley's methods. But the night of December 12, 1941 remains the most desperate. 44 men pulled from burning water while Japanese aircraft try to kill everyone involved. No training, no preparation, just improvisation,
courage, and a PT boat commander who refuses to follow orders when following orders means abandoning sailors to die. John Bulkeley survives the war. He evacuates General Douglas MacArthur from Corregidor in March 1942. That mission makes him famous. He receives the Medal of Honor, becomes the public face of PT boat operations. But he always says the Manila Bay rescue was harder, more dangerous, more important. The 44 survivors from USS Peary scatter across the Pacific theater. Some die later in the war, others survive. After the war, 19 of them attend a reunion in 1947. They invite Bulkeley. He comes. They present him with a plaque, engraved with 44 names and one sentence. "You came back when others turned away." Bulkeley keeps that plaque in his office for the rest of his life. Not the Medal of Honor, not the Navy Cross, not the dozens of other awards and decorations. The plaque from 44 survivors who remember that one night in Manila Bay when a PT boat commander broke the rules and saved their lives. John Bulkeley dies on April 6, 1996, age 84. His obituary in the New York Times focuses on the MacArthur evacuation, mentions his Medal of Honor, lists his 34 years of Navy service. One paragraph mentions the Manila Bay rescue, 44 survivors, December 12, 1941. But the men of USS Peary remember, the ones who live to tell the story. They make sure their children know, their grandchildren, the PT boat that came back under fire, the commander who turned off his radio and disobeyed orders, the 10 minutes that meant the difference between drowning and living. That's leadership. Not following orders blindly, not playing it safe, but making the hard call when lives are on the line, when the right thing and the safe thing aren't the same thing, when duty means risking everything to bring people home. John Bulkeley understood that on December 12, 1941. He proved it. 44 men came home because one PT boat commander decided some rules were worth breaking.
What would you have done in Bulkeley's position? Would you have followed orders and left those men to drown? Or would you have turned off that radio and gone in anyway? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story moved you the way it moved us, smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from history every single day. Stories about heroes who broke the rules to save lives. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making sure John Bulkeley and the 44 survivors of USS Peary don't disappear into silence. See you in the next one.